Professor Galligan-Stierle. It's really nice to meet you. I want to thank you so much for being here and for sharing your 2 cents about the college audition process. And
Yeah, my pleasure.
it's become so elusive in terms of what schools are actually wanting to see. And
Sure.
maybe that's because of the volume of students, or maybe it's because of the change in technology in the audition process. But a lot of people were interested in knowing what you have to say, and a lot of students have submitted their questions. So I'm looking forward to diving in. But first, I'd love to know more about you and the program that you've built at Slippery Rock.
Yeah, sure. So, first of all, I'm Aaron. I don't need to be any kind of formal Professor Galligan-Stierle by any means. My background is that I was a performer and director in New York City for about 20 years. Did Broadway, off Broadway, traveled the country, a lot of regional jobs. And as part of the pandemic shift, I was given the amazing opportunity to take on this job here at Slippery Rock. My day job in New York City for years prior to being here was that I ran a audition training program in New York City, and really kind of became one of the main people that folks would go to prepare for auditions
Mhm.
and sort of training them in that world. I was able to take sort of those professional contacts and that experience and bring it to the university world here at Slippery Rock. So Slippery Rock's program is a brand new musical theater program. We're only 5 years old,
Wow.
so we've graduated 2 classes so far, which is
Yeah, that's
exciting.
amazing.
We're rapidly becoming known as a program that focuses on individuality, focuses on wellness, focuses on sort of unique, authentic artists and what they want to do and bring to the world. And also, we really focus on training entrepreneurs. We really want people who are interested in rolling up their sleeves and finding a way to participate in their art and build a community of artists and growth from there. So that's
Wow.
sort of our sort of angle and the things
Yeah.
that we really focus on here at Slippery Rock. And we're growing very rapidly, and it's exciting to see so many people interested in what we're providing.
Yeah. Wow. That sounds wonderful. Sounds like if I had to do it all over again, I would do it at Slippery Rock. That would be great. Well, let's dive into the student provided questions,
Sure.
starting with the beginning of the audition process, the pre screens. Even for me, this is quite new. When I was in the college audition process, pre screens were kind of here, kind of there, not really the standard. Now it is the standard. So we're all curious to know what are some important things that you want to see in the pre screen? What takes students to the next level?
Yeah, well, it's such a difficult question because so every school is looking for something different. And the thing that I would start with is I'd remind students that they actually are the consumer here. They're the ones who really should be shopping us, not us shopping you, right? And the reality is that it's really important for students to focus on what program provides what they're looking for and and where does their particular skill set fit, and what are
Mhm.
the where some schools are looking for someone who can do a triple, and some schools are looking for someone who can belt a certain note or a specific type of artist, right? Other schools are sort of more interested in their individuality, or their personality or their experience, right? Every school is going to be looking for something really, really different. And
Mhm.
so the best piece of advice I can offer is to for students to really just bring themselves and share exactly where they are. Auditions, pre-screens are not a time to show like the things you're trying to do and the things you're trying to get better at and the things that you're working on hoping that eventually you'll be good at. It's the time to share exactly where you are today and be okay with that and go, this is how far I've gotten. This is the experience I have, the techniques I have, the skills I have, the stories that I'm particularly passionate about that I want to share with the world, and just start there and then see who responds, right? And the reality is that different schools are going to respond to different things. I can speak to Slippery Rock specifically and say that, the thing that we respond to honestly is authenticity. We're
Mhm.
looking for people that feel like they know, have a sense of who they are, the
Mhm.
type of stories that they want to tell in the world, and they're able to share that with a sense of truth and authenticity. Certainly there's elements of like, do we feel like they have the ability to sing in a certain capacity, or do we feel like they have particular some sense of skill set in terms of telling story and facility with language? Sure, but the reality, the thing that um always allows us to go, yes, we absolutely want to call that person back, always, is a sense of authenticity and a sense of connection to their material and to their world.
Yeah, I love that. And that's so refreshing to hear because I feel like a lot of current musical theater schools, especially the big ones, are so focused on the package. And it seems as though they want students to be like ready for Broadway by the time they submit the pre-screen. And
Right?
it seems so uh, against the point.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll also say that, the other thing that I would offer that's, I think, is really important in terms of equity and making sure that we're really taking care of ourselves in terms of our wellness is that there is now the common pre-screen app through Accepted, and that really is a really important. And I'm proud that Slippery Rock is among the schools that has committed to that. Um,
Mhm.
and you know, reading those guidelines, I support so much the mission, which is just that it doesn't matter if you have fancy equipment. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter where you're filming. It doesn't. None of those things matter. The only thing that matters is that you share your work and your passion with us.
Yeah.
So leaning into that and knowing that it is enough. It really is enough. You will be seen by someone who goes, "That's what I'm looking for," because there are so many amazing programs out there.
Mhm.
You're really looking for the match, not the best.
Love that. Wow. Yeah. Okay. Tell us about the wild card. What do you
Huh.
want to be seeing in the wild card?
Sure. Well, the good news is that with the Common App starting this year, Wildcard is no longer required for any Common App audition, which is,
Mhm.
I think, really good
Yeah.
because I know it was creating a lot of stress for our students to figure out, how do I be original? What do I, you know? So from my point of view, if you decide to engage with a wildcard video, the best thing to do is to share some part of your artistry that you weren't able to share in your package, or to
Mhm.
share some part of your humanity that you weren't able to share in the audition material, right?
Yeah.
So let's say you put together all this audition material and you submit it, but the reality is you're an absolutely spectacular player of the saxophone. Well, we should know that, and that would be a great way for you to share that,
Yeah.
right? Or if you're an Eagle Scout and you want to share your project and all of the things that come with that, that would be a great way to do that, right?
Yeah.
Something else about who you are as an artist, who you are as a human, that we go, that's valuable information for the school that's looking for that,
Yeah.
right? Because not every school cares if you're an Eagle Scout. Some
Yeah.
schools might.
Right. So something along the lines of what's in your special skills on your resume. Do you feel like that's a fair get?
Yeah, I mean, yes and no, right? I mean, as long as it's something that you are passionate about and that helps you share who you are and the artist that you want to be, right? If you're able to do, what I think of as like the stupid human tricks, like you can burp the alphabet,
Yeah.
I don't know that that helps you in any way,
Yeah.
right? But if there's a specific thing that you do that is part of who you are and the type of artist you want to be, go for it.
I feel like there's so much stress and emphasis on, do I choose this song because it shows off my highest belt? Do I choose this song because it contrasts to the other one nicely? What about the monologue? Does it show enough instead of does it show who I am or what I
Yep,
can do?
yep.
What are your thoughts first starting with song choice? Do you feel like it matters if it is your flashiest song versus your most story driven song?
Well, ultimately, it really comes down to sort of where I started, which is that I don't think it's a good idea for a student to lean into the flashiest parts of themselves that they're sort of working on trying to get ready, right? If they sing something that's out of their range, or they do a really good, but they hit a high note, but it's not quite there, right? That's not a great representation of where you are today, right?
Mhm.
And so I really encourage students to start by asking, what kind of artist do I want to be? What am I passionate about? What kind of stories do I want to tell? And then finding characters and material that supports that.
Mhm.
Should it also make you sound good? Yes, it should. But it doesn't I've now watched about what 8 to 900 audition tapes a year for 4 years,
Yeah.
okay? Not once has someone hit a high note and I got, "Oh my gosh, I have to call them back immediately."
Mhm.
Never once, not a single time,
Yeah.
right? What I've done is I've watched with detail how they tell the story, where they get excited about things.
Mhm.
What does it say about them? Huh, they chose that material. Why would they choose that material? What does it say about who they are as an artist? Oh, I'm going to guess that they have worked through something and they're really trying to overcome some challenges. Interesting. That's really unique.
Yeah.
Or it sounds like they have the world at this the world at their fingertips. Everything comes easy for them. Great, fascinating. What is that?
Mm.
You know what I mean? i
Yeah.
i i hear the lyrics, I hear the content of the material, I think about the character that they've chosen to portray, and I go, cool, what does that say about you? If you've decided to do that material when you have literally anything on the planet you could choose,
Mhm.
if you choose defying gravity, what does that say about who you are as an artist and what you have in connection with Alphaba and
Mhm.
that moment in the story and somebody who wants more? That's where I go. And
Yeah.
that's what I'm interested in and is exploring is that. So to me, that's always the answer. Go to the connection with the material and what it says about who you are and who you want to be, and then lean into that and let us go, that's what I'm looking for. Or, I'm not interested in that.
Yeah.
And both are okay
Yeah.
because ultimately we have to find a match of a place where we cannot live without you and you cannot live without us. And we are so excited to
Yeah.
spend 4 years working together.
Mm. That's great. That is so great and so refreshing. It really your take. It seems as though it's so representative of your program, obviously, but it's so refreshing in this industry as a whole. We don't often get a good sense of humanity in this industry, so it's quite nice to hear that from you. So moving into the auditions, the callbacks,
Yep.
there are thousands of people who audition, yes. What really sets the people aside? I know that you've commented on storytelling, obviously. Is it the triple threat factor as well? What makes you say, "Oh, this is the person"?
Great. Well, I'll be honest, I don't know that every school does it like we do,
Mhm.
but the way that we go through our process is that the pre-screen is where we decide whether you are quote unquote talented enough to go to Slippery.
Mhm.
We want to see if you are authentic and you have that connection material, all this stuff, and we go, okay, do they have some requisite skills in storytelling and in vocal production and all of these pieces? And we go, great, check mark.
Mhm.
Our callback experience is truly has nothing to do with talent. Zero. We spend all of our time getting to know you as a human and
Mhm.
trying to figure out if your humanity will thrive in our environment. That's it. And so we very intentionally have a massive callback day.
Mhm.
Our callbacks are not the type of thing where you show up, you're in there for 3 minutes, you come out, and then you go home.
Mhm.
You're starting at 9 a.m., you might be done at 10 p.m. You're there literally all day. You sit in on classes, you meet with the professors, you do Q&As with the students, we do interviews, we do callback, we take you on a tour, you come see rehearsals, you come see a product. We do stuff all day long as a way for us to get to know you and for you to get to know us. Because ultimately, again, we want it to be a match. We're interested in students who walk away from Slippery Rock and go, that's the school for me. I have to go there. I felt at home there. I felt a connection there. This felt like my type of humans. And we're similarly looking for the same thing. We
Mhm.
have questions that we ask our candidates, and we have long conversations with those. Our auditions are like they're 15-minute long
Yeah.
auditions. Like we don't do this 3 minute in, out, sing a thing, be done. We want to get to know you. And that 15 minutes is only one part of a whole day of opportunity of
Mhm.
getting to know the artists through workshops and conversations and classes and all of this stuff. So that at the end of the day, we go, we have a pretty good idea of who they are. And we feel like those people fit here.
Yeah.
It's never, ultimately, oftentimes, this happens all the time. We'll say, wow, that person is so talented. We are so amazed by their skill set. They're not a Slippery Rock student.
Hmm.
And they may be, quote unquote, far more talented than some of the other students that we make an offer to.
Hmm.
But that's because what we're interested in is not what everyone is interested in. And
Hmm.
that's okay. We're
Yeah.
really protective of and supportive of the environment that we're creating, the type of humans that we feel will really thrive in our world. And that sets our students up for success, because when they come here, then they're in an environment that they will thrive in, not
Mhm.
necessarily someone else. And
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. That's so great. Oh, this one came up a lot.
Sure.
How much experience should prospective students have?
For us, I don't care at all. They could have no experience.
Hmm.
I'll give you an example. One of our seniors this year uh, had literally never been in a show of any kind when they auditioned for our school.
How about that?
They'd never been in a play. They'd never been in a musical. And they auditioned for our school, and we said, wow, that human is amazing and talented and interesting and
Mhm.
exciting. And she ended up being in a play her freshman year, and that was the first play she'd ever been in. And in her sophomore year, she was in a musical, and that was the first musical she'd ever been in. And she is one of the most spectacular members of our community. And I have absolutely no doubt that she's going to have an incredible career.
Yeah.
Th- we don't care. We don't care. People come in with huge amounts of training and experience or none at all. Doesn't matter to us, even 1%. Honestly, I almost never even look at their resume.
How about
I'll be
that?
honest.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, there's something that I'm like, huh, I'm interested in knowing more here. And I'll look for a specific piece of information.
Hmm.
But I can't remember the last time I had someone audition for Slippery Rock where I pulled out their resume and scanned it.
Yeah.
Not once.
Wow. That's great. But in the pre-screens and in the callback auditions, are all three disciplines, singing, dancing, acting, are they weighed the same in your eyes?
At Slippery Rock, definitively not. Absolutely
Hmm.
not. So at Slippery Rock, we focus for the musical theater component very strongly on acting first,
Hmm.
singing second,
Okay.
dancing third. And
Okay.
the reason we do it in that order is because of this. Number one, we're really, really focused on acting as the core of our curriculum. In fact, ours is a BFA in acting with a concentration in musical theater, specifically because we're looking for storytellers. We're looking for unique, authentic artists who are interested in creating a world of change and telling stories that matter to today's world, right? Like that's what we're really looking for, and that comes through the acting. We also have a very, very strong musical component to our school, and obviously, to be in musical theater, one must be able to sing, and so that becomes a very, very strong second component for us. In terms of the audition process, our we actually have zero dance components to
Oh.
our audition process, and I'll tell you specifically why. It's a matter of equity for us. We know the extraordinary cost that it is
Oh.
for people to take dance classes. And we know that oftentimes students don't have access or the ability to afford the high cost of dance training. And so what we do is we take students at every level of dance experience, from I've never taken a dance class to I've been dancing for 17 years, right? I guess they couldn't be seven. Well, maybe they started at one, sure. But we take them at every single level of their level of experience. We do not include that in any part of our audition process because we want it to be equitable for all
Mhm.
of the students who apply to our school, so that they have access to this kind of training. And then when they come to Slippery Rock, the value of dance becomes incredibly important because we know how important that is in order to have a career in musical theater. And so what we do is we evaluate our students in the first semester of their time at Slippery Rock as to where they are in their dance experience. And then we level them into a dance program that fits their needs. We
Mhm.
have a nationally ranked dance program here at Slippery Rock. It's extraordinary, and we partner with with the dance department with the training that we're able to provide. And so we're able to bring in students who've never taken a dance class and go into that level to work their way up to get into higher level dance classes by the time they graduate. We also have students who can come in after 15, 17, 16 years of dance training and not be even close to the best people in the program, because our dancers in the dance major are literally some of the best in the country. And so our students come in with an extraordinary amount of dance training and still are incredibly challenged at
Yeah.
Slippery Rock in terms of continuing to get better. It's the best of all of those worlds. It doesn't close any doors for anyone. It keeps the doors open, but it makes sure that everyone, no matter the level of their training, ends up getting the experience that they need.
I love that focus on individuality and kind of molding the program with the student instead of having the student fit the program. What other ways do you include that in the overall training?
Yeah, well, it's really built into the curriculum itself, right? So we're really focused on the ability to have some choice in our program. We've worked very, very hard to make sure our students get the training that they need, but also have flexibility in the ability to choose electives. We're one of the few BFAs that I know of that encourages our students to get a minor. We want
Mhm.
our students to do other things. Many of our students choose things like dance or music for their minor, but we also have students that choose marketing or philosophy or sociology, right? Or science, right? Or math. We have students that choose all kinds of things as their minor, and we want them to do that because we want them to be as well versed and versatile as possible so that they can become entrepreneurs. That's
Yeah.
important. So our students really do come in and they get choice. They get to decide which things they want to take, where do they want to focus, and that really starts pretty early in their curriculum. The first semester is pretty well locked up as like, here's what you take. And pretty quickly after that, you start to go, all right, here's where my passion is. Here's what I want to focus on, and then developing from there. So we really think that that's essential if we're to follow through with this idea of authentic, unique artists. In order to do that, we have to have curricular flexibility in order to allow that.
That's fantastic. That is so great. And you mentioned equity and affordability within the training for the BFA program. The BFA programs, period, and the industry is wildly expensive to just be a part of, with very little payoff, as you know. And so I'm curious. Uh, I love what you're doing with the dance aspect of that equity. How else does that fall into play in this program?
Well, in an enormous way. I mean, the thing that, that one of the things I'm most passionate about Slippery Rock that we haven't talked about yet is the affordability. We're a state school,
Hmm.
right? And that's incredible. That means that, students can get can, go to a really strong musical theater program that really supplies them with a great amount of training and individual focus and work for a fraction of the cost of most universities, right? Every year it changes. So by saying a number here, I can't guarantee that that will be what it is come
Yeah.
fall of next year. But right now we have out of state students that are paying $14,000 a year. That's it for out of state students, not even in state students,
Yeah,
right? That's incredible. And that's something
it
that I'm
is.
very passionate about and I think is super, super important in terms of setting people up for success. Because, of course, I graduated from university and I went out into the industry and I saw how many of my peers left the industry within 3 years because they couldn't afford to pay their bills.
Yes.
And I was one of the lucky few who was able to do that because I had such low cost education for myself. And so I'm deeply, deeply committed to that for all of our students.
Mhm.
Now, I will also say, because we are a brand new program, we're only 5 years in, right?
Yeah.
We have very limited scholarship opportunities,
Mhm.
almost none. And that's just because we're a brand new program. We
Yeah.
haven't been able to build the alumni and
Mhm.
donor support that these big programs have.
Mhm.
However, the thing is, because the cost of our school is a fraction of the cost of so many other schools, at the end of the day, we're still usually cheaper. I tell this incredibly sad, but sad story, but also something that illustrates our cost. Is that, a couple of years ago I had a student who reached out to me and said, I've gotten about $100,000 in scholarships. What can you give me? I said,
Wow.
I can't give you a single dollar, but let's run the money. And we
Yeah.
ran it. And the bottom line was we were still cheaper.
Wow. That speaks volumes.
Yeah.
It really does. Wow, that's fantastic because that too is one of my greatest passions is supplying people with quality, affordable voice training. I think it's
Yeah.
so important to not price people out and to just make the gap larger and larger. So I appreciate what you do. And lastly, to wrap it up, if you could sum up, and I know it's probably
Sure.
tricky, one nugget of advice for the students who are about to start this college audition process, what would that nugget be?
Good question. Well, being the teacher that I am, I suddenly had a list of like 10,
Yeah.
right? But I won't
You
go
can
through
rattle
all
off
of them.
10 if you
But
want.
I might do a couple. I
Okay.
would say the first one is be patient with yourself and take your time.
Mhm.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. It's a long
Right.
year, and focusing on it as one piece at a time and a step at a time, and know that each part will take its own amount of time, and then you move to the next, and then you move to the next, and it will work out. That's the first thing that I would offer. The second thing I would offer is that there are so many wonderful schools. There really are. And oftentimes students audition for me, and I will say, wow, you are spectacular. You're not a Slippery Rock student, but here are three schools that I think you would be a perfect match for. And that happens we are not competitive with each other. The schools, we just want you to be at the right match for you. That's the end of the conversation. That's really what we're looking for. So just trust that that you will find the right place and that it will be a match that is the right spot for you. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a fancy name school to be the right match for you and your education.
Mhm.
So I would say that, and I would also say that when you are thinking about the material that you're presenting, think about who you are and what you want to share with the world, and pick your material accordingly. Just focus in on this is what I'm passionate about. These are the type of stories that I love. This is what make brings me joy. It doesn't mean that it has to be super serious.
Right.
What your special gift might be making us laugh. Then do that. It might be making us smile. Then
Yeah.
do that. It might be making us cry. Then do that, right? I don't know what it is that that you will bring specifically to the work and to your art, but share that part of you and trust that the is it dramatic enough? Is it high enough? All of that stuff doesn't matter. Just let it all go and just focus on telling us who you are and who you want to be as an artist, and we will come to you. I promise. I promise. Those feel like the initial things that come to my mind. I'm sure if we were talking for another half hour, I'd give you seven more.
I
But
think you were a good 3. That was
we'll
great.
we'll, we'll
That was
go
great.
there for right now.
Perfect, perfect. Well, Erin, thank you so much for your time to share your information. Thank you for sharing your humanity with your students, your community, and now with us. So I really do appreciate your time.
Hey, you're very welcome. And I'll just say that if anybody out there is interested in learning more about Slippery Rock University, there's a couple different ways that you can do that. You can email us at BFA theater with an RE at sru.edu. That's really the best way to get more information. You can go to our website. We are on Accepted, and you can go and get a lot of information there as well. And then we also are on Instagram at SRU Theater RE. And that would be another great. We're also on TikTok, so we try to have fun too. But you can go to all of those things and learn more about us in that way, and we'd be happy to. We're hoping that we get to know your students and who else is out there, and continue to look for the right matches for our community and for the artists who are searching for us.
Fabulous. Thank you. Thank you.